Alrighty, I'm sorry, y'all. I had some connection difficulties. So we're gonna talk about some things today. Might make folks a little uncomfortable. But hey, it is what it is. It's that time of year again. It's that time of year again where everybody swear they're gonna be leaving the United States after this election when their chosen candidate didn't win. Hey, we're back. We're back. I'm sorry. I had some connection issues. It showed that it wasn't on. And hey, Pamela, how you doing? Welcome on. What's up, Park? We're back. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened with that last connection. It showed it never connected on my end, but then all of a sudden I come back and it says it's showing. I imagine most of y'all have voted and you're hoping for your candidate to win. And then, a lot of folks this time of year, they talking about, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, Pamela says, I was already planning to move to Mexico. And Park says, I left before the election. I'm in Cancun. How you liking Cancun? I haven't been out there other than to the airport. I need to go. I plan to go. I might go this weekend, matter of fact, and kind of hang out for a day or two. Check out those beaches that everybody talk about. I've never been to Cancun on the beach, so I might go check that out. Yeah, man, the politics, man, the states is going off the rails. They tried to shoot Trump twice. And and Kamala, they installed somebody in where people didn't really get a chance to select who they wanted. They just say, "Hey, this is y'all candidate. Take it or leave it." So this is going to be a polarizing election. Results are. Let me see if I can pull up some numbers. I imagine there's going to be a lot of folks up tonight. Trump is at 232. Harris is at 216. So there's still a lot of many ways this thing can sway. Pamela says, I've done 2 scouting trips, Mexico City and Querétaro. What do you think about Querétaro? I thought it was a very beautiful city, very modern, very clean. And I don't think the cost, I think it might be cheaper than Merida, my personal opinion. But it's a good place. The weather's great. I hear the traffic can get pretty bad. But other than that, I hear it's a beautiful, I've seen it with my own eyes. I was there for about 3 weeks and loved it. Cancun, and I love Cancun, and went to the beach and went to Playa. Bella says, I live in Querétaro and it's wonderful here. How's the traffic? I keep reading stuff online that says the traffic in Querétaro is not great and it can get pretty nasty out there. Joseph said, I'm leaving either way. Things aren't going to get any better. I agree with that. Inflation is just going to get worse regardless. I think we're headed towards some pretty rough times as the years progress. Tracy says, I'm as serious as a heart attack. I'm joining your VIP to move when I get my Social Security. I want to move to Mexico so bad. A lady came in here that arrived yesterday with her son. This lady is 73 years old. Didn't look a lick of 73 at all. Had her wits about her, moving around real quick. And she said her mother lived to be 103. And, so she's going to be around for a while. But she looked excellent. There are people moving here, all ages, all sizes, young, the old, and they're retiring here. Mexico, over 1 million U.S. citizens live in Mexico and call Mexico home. 1 million folks can't be wrong. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful place. What's up? I'm serious. So I'm in Querétaro right now. A lot of people in Querétaro. The traffic is not great, but the weather is beautiful. No AC needed. That's what in Merida, where we're at, of course, we need that AC because that temperature can get up to 105, 110, 115. And without any AC, it gets torturous. But I know when I was in Querétaro, I was trying to go find a space heater just to keep my feet warm because it got cold at nighttime. And sometimes in the morning time I wake up, the wind was blowing, there was a strong breeze, so it wasn't that hot. But that's a beautiful place. Now, Querétaro, is that near central Mexico? Somebody's asking where it's at. I don't have my map up on me, and I was only there for 3 weeks and didn't go deep in. I'm leaving regardless of who wins. My retirement money the same either way. There you go. That retirement money can go a whole lot further out here in Mexico. How long have you lived in Querétaro? Which neighborhoods would you recommend? That's Pamela asking. The traffic is very heavy from about 4 to 8 o'clock. Okay. Nice. Well, man, listen, Mexico is a beautiful option. Statistically, they say, let me see if I can pull these numbers up. I'm gonna hold on, y'all. I'm gonna make sure I don't want to accidentally hit the wrong screen and then this thing ends abruptly. Let me see. Hold on 1 second. Y'all bear with me. Boom. Okay. All right. Just wanted to make sure I got that. So I'm moving if they win. I'm reading some data. The reality behind post-election exodus threats. People say, "Hey, I'll never live in this country again." I'm already looking at houses in Canada, Toronto. My passport is ready. I can't wait to become a Canadian. For whatever reason, many people want to go to Canada. I don't know why they choose that, but searches soar during election season in terms of people actually looking at places to go. But the data suggests that less than 0.1% of people who threaten to move actually leave. You know what I mean? But again, most real estate websites, they tend to see huge spikes in foreign property searches. And it lasts for about 2 to 3 days after the election. You know what I mean? Celebrities, everybody talking about, hey, we're leaving after the election. Most all of them have stayed behind despite their declaration to get the heck out of Dodge. Because honestly, again, I don't know why many people, again, the data says most people look towards Canada. And the truth about Canada, particularly like places like Toronto, the average price for a house is $1.1 million. Vancouver, Canada, is higher. It's $1.3 million. You need to you need to be able to prove that you have a bunch of money in the bank and you got to pass a French or English language test. You know what I mean? It takes 5 to 7 years to get citizenship. And the temperatures, man, is like below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. So when people start digging a little deeper, they start to realize, nah, shawty, I ain't going. But for whatever reason, folks don't look at Mexico. Mexico has easy residency options. They have some workaround options for those who don't qualify the traditional way. I'm just adjusting my screen. It's very close to the U.S. You can pick the environment that you want to go to in terms of whether you want to be in a colder region, a colder part of the country, a warmer part like us here in Merida is hot all year round. If you want to live in the mountain areas, mountainous, if you want to live on the beach, on the Caribbean side, Mexico, you got options. Like I said earlier, over 1 million U.S. citizens live here full time and call it home. Trying to move to these other places, trying to get moving containers can easily run you $15,000-$20,000 just to move your stuff. Visa application fees can be very costly. And like I said, having required proof of funds can be a challenge for most folks. And so most people, while they say they leaving, they ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'm here to say that Mexico really is an option. A couple of hours away, depending on where you live by plane. If you live in Texas, you can drive across the border and get over here. You know, so man, listen, we've been living here in Mexico for 3.5 years now, and absolutely love it. It's a beautiful city, beautiful culture, beautiful people. Cost of living is phenomenal. We found a lady a house the other day. Found her a studio. She said, Cortez, it's just me by myself. She says, I'm living in a small studio space right now in the States, and I can't remember what she was paying, but it was expensive. And she said, listen, if I can just get something a little bit bigger than that space, then I want it. So we found her a brand new studio apartment for $300 a month. That included water, that included trash pickup 3 days a week, that included high-speed internet. All the place was furnished. All the appliances came with it. Refrigerator, they had one of those little stovetop electric burners, induction stove tops on top of the counter. You know what I mean? So there's a budget for everybody. $300 a month. Her income, she was on a very tight fixed income, very low income. So just been able to pay $300 a month for her rent, which included most of the all the utilities and services except for the internet, with a big relief. It freed up more of her money so that she can go travel and do some things. The lady that came into town today, 73 years old, she said she was paying $1,800 a month for essentially what did she call it? The word she used, executive studio or something like that. She said it was just one big room. She said it was really nice, nicely decorated, $1,800 a month, very little space. And so today we were looking at some houses. We were showing her some houses where it was $600 a month. Had a pool, 2 bedrooms, a 2-level home, services included as well. And I mean, I'm telling you, you got options. Cost of living drastically goes down while your quality of life goes up. You know what I'm saying? The malls here are spectacular. You have many options. So I'm gonna jump into these comments. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. Querétaro is north of Mexico City, about 3 hours. And I'm in that percentage of folks who will be out of here. Pamela's serious. She like, I'm out. El Refugio, I'm still working on my Spanish, is nice. That was the neighborhood I looked into, Juriquilla. Depends on what's important to you. Yeah, I was looking at, those are some beautiful areas. We had some issues and thought we were going to have to leave Merida, and Querétaro was going to be our stop next. But we were able to get everything worked out, primarily some medical stuff here. Just wanted to be closer to more English-speaking doctors and psychiatrists, mental health professionals. Not so great here when it comes to that. So we were considering a move there so we have better access. But like I say, in the end, we ended up finding a really good doctor. And so we were able to stick it out. I originally left in 2019 for Thailand. I came back to the U.S. to care for my mother. Welcome, disabled diva. Thank you for this information. It's quite blah, blah, blah. I've been here 2 months visiting all the cities in which I was interested in, and Querétaro and León were my 2 favorites. Querétaro won because the weather is nicer. And I found a place with all bills paid. There you go, Bella. That's how you do it. You know what I mean? Finding a place where all the utilities are wrapped in. I'm telling you, you get to free up a lot of money. So I hope when people are doing their research on places to go, please investigate Mexico. Is and I think the reason why a lot of people choose Canada or search in Canada, because again, like Mexico is the closest proximity to the United States. And I don't know why people just naturally think of Canada. I know we did. We left the US for the very first time, and we went to Canada with the intention of living there. We went to Montreal in Quebec, and that part of Canada. Chose that part because they spoke French there. We didn't want to go to the other part of Canada where they spoke English because we wanted to really feel like we were out in the country. We didn't want to leave the US and go to Canada and everybody speaking English and it was just like being in the States. So we decided to go to Montreal. Got there, didn't care for it too much. A beautiful city though, beautiful. We drove all the way from Georgia, and drove all the way to Quebec, and got there on a Sunday, and everybody else was sick. So me and Charlie, we were the only ones roaming around the city, touring everything. And this is just my perspective. I thought the people were really snobbish. You know what I mean? They weren't polite and really wasn't that helpful. And then I learned that, when we went to some other parts of Canada after that trip, we learned that they tend to look down on people who don't speak French. And so, of course, we got there, we knew very little French, and they were not trying to be helpful. That's one thing about Mexico. You come here and you attempt to try and speak some Spanish, they will bend backwards over to try and accommodate you. The key part being you need to make an attempt to speak some Spanish. But any attempts to try and speak some French up there didn't help at all. And so we got there on a Sunday. I woke up Thursday morning. No, I walked in the house Thursday afternoon and announced to everybody, we're leaving in the morning. I don't know where we're going exactly, but we're getting out of here. I refuse to spend one more penny of my money here. And so we got the heck up out of there. We had signed a lease and everything. There was a clause in there that basically said I would lose all my money, all my deposits. And so, but I refused to stay in a place that I didn't like. And so we left and we eventually ended up making our way to Medellin, Colombia. And so, but I will admit, I probably didn't give Montreal a chance, Quebec a chance. I was just, the few bad experiences I had, I just refused to continue on. But I think if I gave it a fair shot, it might have been different. I hope to maybe perhaps visit again. When we left Montreal, we drove to Toronto. Really loved that city. Very, very multicultural. One of the things that shocked me the most when I went to Toronto, again, this was my first time ever leaving the U.S., and this was like 9 years ago maybe. I had never, so we're going into the mall, and then, you see all these Muslim folks. They had on the full shroud, the veil, they had everything on. And what surprised me was, for the first time, I saw white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Muslims. And I was taken back, because what you see on TV, you just think most of the Muslims are Arab and from Middle Eastern descent. And so I was shocked to see that. It was very eye-opening to me. And I was like, wow, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white Muslims. And they were numerous, You know what I mean? It wasn't just one here and you see another one, 2 days later, they were everywhere. And, so when we got there, we saw, and this is in Toronto, we saw all the different ethnicities, different types of restaurants. So you had Ethiopian restaurants, you had Lebanese restaurants, Chinese restaurants, Korean restaurants, Filipino restaurants, Korean restaurants. I mean, you had every nationality of food you can possibly think of. And I quickly fell in love with that. And I was like, this could work. I'm like, this place is nice. So we started looking around, and we happened to end up there during a time of the year. I think it was like the Canines Festival was going on. So all the hotels were booked up, all the Airbnbs were booked up, all the short-term rentals were booked up, and the ones that were available were just outrageous, talking like $1,000 a night. And renting something out there was easily going to run you about $4,500 a month, just starting to rent a house and go up from there. And then they wanted a deposit on top of that. So you're talking about $4,500 times two just to move into a place. And so at the hotel we were in, we were spending almost about $300 to $400 a night because it was the only hotel in town. So we stayed for a short minute and got a chance to enjoy that city. So I was excited about that. But Toronto, oh my God, it was expensive, but it was a beautiful place. Talk about a real, true melting pot. Oh my God, that place right there was off the chain. Let me see here. I plan to move to Merida in February, looking at Las Americas. I spent a few months there and loved it. Awesome, 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 awesome. Did you stay in Las Americas during those 2 months? I'm just asking out of curiosity. Buenas noches, Darla. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Bella Crane, give me a second. Depends, blah, blah, blah. Give me a sec says, that's not true. Montreal folks are nice. You just didn't know French. Hey, I agree. My French was minimal. But I was so excited to get there to learn French. And, we picked up a few words before we got there, practicing and studying. And I guess my feelings got hurt based on the way they were treating us. And so, and again, that was my first time out the country. And so my feeling, I made a decision to leave based on emotion, which is one thing I tell folks all the time. If you move to Merida, the first 6 to 12 months here, it's going to be an adjustment and it's going to be rough. And if you're not going to stay in a place for at least a year, don't come. Don't come. And hold on one second. I got a client that just arrived into the airport. We just getting settled in Merida. I sent the details. Okay, all right. I'll respond back to that. Okay. What was I saying? Forgot. I forgot exactly what I was saying. But I was excited that we're ready to learn the language and stuff. But I remember talking about. If you're not going to stay in the place for at least a year, don't leave. You know what I mean? Don't go. If you're not going to stay for at least a year, don't go. Because now, knowing what I know now versus when I first went to Canada, most people, when they arrive to a new country, they're trying to acclimate. They're trying to adjust to the cultural changes. And for many people, the biggest thing they're going to face is a language barrier. Like in Mexico, they speak Spanish, and it's like you're a child. You're starting all over again. You can't order food for yourself. You can't, I met my wife when we first went to Colombia. She cried because she couldn't order a hamburger when we went to the restaurant. A lady, I was watching her YouTube video the other day, one of my clients as well. She was like, I went to Walmart. I was trying to buy this refrigerator and I just lost it. I just broke down. And she was like, I'm ready. I'm going back home. I'm packing my stuff and I'm leaving. So oftentimes our emotions and our feelings and our doubts get in the way, and it will have us leaving sooner than necessary before we got a full chance to really adapt and assimilate into the local culture. And that's the mistake I made when we went to Canada. I got in my feelings and I got in my emotions, and we got the heck on. You know what I mean? So in hindsight, knowing what I know now, we would have sat tight, because what happened is after you get past that emotional side, the side where you have doubts and you're uncertain and like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be this hard, or they were right, I wasn't going to make it. Once you get past that first year, all of that doubt start to go. You start to get comfortable. You start to understand what people are saying more. You won't necessarily understand everything they saying, but you're gonna be a whole lot better understanding versus when you first got there 12 months earlier. Your confidence gets go up. It gets better. So it's a game changer. So I left way too early because I got in my feelings. They're way much nicer than the French folks from France. I've heard that too. If it wasn't for the winter over there, I would be living there. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, it was a beautiful city. And the side of town we ended up on was the side of town where the Italians stay. And at the time, I didn't realize each part of the city, different cultures, different people, and different groups of people that lived in these different clusters. You know what I mean? But it was. I mean, it was beautiful. We lived over there in the area near the Olympic. I'm not going to say Olympic Village, but the area where the Olympics, parts of the Olympics, was held at the time. How was Colombia? Colombia was beautiful. Oh my God, Medellin, way cheaper than Mexico, believe it or not. And the cost of living in Mexico is great, although it's going up. It's still cheaper than the States. But Colombia is a whole nother level of cheaper. And I would say, particularly depending on what part you're going to, like Medellin, much, much more modern than Mexico. Technology, top of the line, food, top of the line. But at the end of the day, that crime, that safety factor, since the pandemic, it's gotten worse. Even when we were there, we always had to be cautious, always had to be mindful of your surroundings, always had to be mindful of what you're carrying, always had to be mindful of everything. So, for example, I'd be out making videos with my phone, showing the city, and local people would just walk up to me. They'll slap my hand and say, put your phone back, put your phone up, put your phone up. You're making yourself a target. Somebody's going to rob you. And they always would, and this is every time I had my phone out. So these are locals saying, hey, and when locals tell you something, it's wise to listen. So they would say, put your phone away. People are watching you. Somebody can rob you. They can come take it. They will follow you home. And so even though for us nothing ever happened, but you always have to be vigilant. You always have to be proactive, and you always have to be preventive in trying to keep things from happening. So, like for example, I needed to go buy another computer, Apple computer. So I didn't go to the store. I didn't want to go to the store and buy it because people will see you walking out the store with the bags. You see what I'm saying? And they know what you got. And if you have that Apple icon, they know it's something very expensive. So you make yourself a target. And it's not uncommon for these folks to be watching you from afar. And they will follow you home. And then once you get ready to open your door, they come and rob you. So that was always something that we had to be mindful of. I remember distinctly using my laptop outside at a park. Multiple people walk by. Take your stuff, take that thing back in the house. What in the world are you doing? Even if you were in a taxi, riding a taxi or Uber, you can't be on your phone. because jokers on the motorcycle will roll up and snatch your stuff out the window and keep on going. It'd be two people on a motorcycle. So every time two people came on a motorcycle, you always had to be extra vigilant because one of them might be up to no good. So by the time I got to Mexico to kind of check it out, it was like I could let my guard down a little bit. I didn't have to be so vigilant, and I can walk around with my computer. I can work, and when you had that relief, and that it was just a layer of relief that fell off your shoulder when you're not having to constantly be watching and paying attention and being alert. I wouldn't even go to the ATM machines because I was scared somebody's going to be watching me. Now they have this thing where folks are blowing this scopamine dust in your face, on your drinks, and it's knocking you out. And they were just usually targeting men that were out there hunting for sex, but now they're going after women. They're blowing this stuff, and they'll drug you up where you forget everything, and they take you to the ATM machine, empty out your bank account, take you to your hotel or your Airbnb and empty out your place and take off with your stuff. And so there's been a lot of high profile YouTubers that have been drugged and killed. And this is just in the last couple of years. So it's gotten pretty bad. So I think we made the right call because it went from bad to worse. Just in the last couple of years, made the right decision not to be in Colombia. Toronto is, let's see, beautiful and beautifully expensive. Would y'all move back to Colombia? Nope, I would not. There are other parts of Colombia that are even cheaper than Medellin. And I say cheaper, I'm talking about significantly cheaper. I'm talking about, well, I'm going to give you an example of how cheap. $300 a month would get you let me see if I can pull this up on my computer. Showing it to you is better. Let me see something here. $320. Okay, I think I got it. All right, I'm going to try and do this and not screw this up. Let me see. Share screen. I hope I didn't freeze again. Oh, no. Please don't tell me that. Can y'all still hear me? All right. Let me see if I need to shut that down. All right. Still nothing? Did it freeze? Okay, so y'all can see that on the screen? Okay. All right. So this is a condo that goes for $376 a month in a city called Ibagué. I was there for about a couple of months. And it's a high-rise condo. And I'm just reading the comment that I have. It came completely furnished, all utilities included, high-speed internet, telephone and cable, swimming pool, jacuzzi, workout facility on the property, $376 a month is what you got. A beautiful view. You had this view 360 degrees around you. The mountains was 360 degrees around. It was like you was in a bowl surrounded by mountains. You see what I'm saying? And what you're seeing now is flights. So once you get into Colombia, you can fly anywhere in the country for next to nothing. So, for example, the flight that you're seeing here with a nonstop round trip flight for $51, I could leave Ibagué and fly into Bogota, which is the capital of Colombia. And then fly back to Ibagué. So that's $51. That's a round trip ticket. You see what I'm saying? And also the ticket to Medellin wouldn't have been much more. So if I wanted to fly, let me close this out though. All right, hopefully that'll speed my screen up. So I could leave. No matter where you lived in Colombia, you can get on the plane and say, hey, I want to go hang out at the beach for the weekend. You get on the plane for $30 to $50 round trip. Fly to the beach, hang out, get an Airbnb for $10 to $15 for the day, per day, and then fly back on $30 to $50 round trip ticket. So that's what Colombia do for you. Now, would I go back to Colombia? I would, but I would go to the smaller towns. Towns like, I'm going to type it in the comment, Ibagué would be such a town. Another town, Manizales, not so small, but very affordable. In Manizales, they had hills everywhere. And so you had hills that just went straight up like an incline like this. And I'm thinking, I'm in the taxi in the Uber, and I'm like, this Uber is not going to make it up that hill. You know what I mean? And so they would slowly go up the hill. And I remember when I walked out of my Airbnb, can y'all hear me? I just want to make sure. Can y'all hear me? Everything back to normal? Just making sure before I keep running my mouth. Can I get a thumbs up if you can hear me? Maybe it's dragging. Let me see if I need to close out any windows. Okay, all right. So I remember when I got to Manizales and checked out of my Airbnb, I had an appointment to go to look at some apartments. And I walked out my door and I was looking at my phone, my maps on my phone. And there was this hill just like this. And I had to walk up that hill to get to the main road. And I'm looking at that hill like, this is impossible to walk up this hill, to walk up this street. And then this is the street now with a sidewalk and everything. Very mountainous region. I walked about 20 feet and had to sit down. I had to catch my breath. And then I walked another 20 feet. I had to sit down. By that point, I'm just drenched in sweat. Then this old lady come walking by like 70 years old, had 2 bags in her hand, just walking like a boss. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, God. I'm like, this is humanly impossible to walk up this hill like that lady just did. But I got to the top of the hill and I was so soaked in sweat, I just walked back down the hill to go back into my house. And I just stayed in the house the rest of the day. That was too much. But Manizales is a very beautiful place. Probably one of the, I think, while Medellin gets all the good praise for the beauty of the city and the natural beauty with the mountains, I think Manizales got them beat by a country mile. So yes, so I would go to the smaller towns, and the beauty with the smaller towns, the crime is less. It's not going to be like it is in Medellin. In the big cities like Bogota, Medellin, the cost of living is even way cheaper, and food is way cheaper. You can get food now. You gonna have to know how to speak some Spanish in them small towns because nobody there speak no English. You know what I mean? Nobody speak English. I remember when I first got there, I went to this restaurant, thought I knew enough Spanish. And when you don't know Spanish well and you don't understand well, the thing you always say is sí, which means yes, of course. You're saying yes to everything. And so I'm pointing at the menu. I'm saying sí and sí and sí. And I'm thinking this guy going to bring me 2 slices of pizza and a small thing of pasta and a soda. No. This joker brought me 2 big, giant grande pizzas. You know what I'm saying? And a big family size platter of pasta and a big old giant pitcher of drink. And I'm like, dude, you know I wasn't trying to order all of that stuff. But I was sitting there saying, yeah, over and over again. And he was probably asking me, are you sure? Are you sure? And I'm saying, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying? So got a million stories like that. But Colombia was a very beautiful, beautiful place. Let's see. Canada is fine. Canada is fine. I'm just reading some of the comments. Canada is fine, but to visit, but I didn't care for the French people, politics, or weather. Yeah, it was different. Only thing about Mexico that was a shock was the way they drive. Man, they drive horrible in Colombia. I wouldn't even attempt to drive over there. I was very comfortable driving here. But yeah, they do not to discount how they drive here. They do drive wild out here. It's the wild, wild west. They make lanes out of no lanes. You know, like Bible say, God makes ways out of no ways. These folks out here making lanes out of no lanes. And I'm like, really? And just turning left. You in a turning lane, then the guy next to you, he's also turning with you. I'm like, what in the world? They just make up their own rules. The stop signs don't mean stop. You know what I mean? It's just a suggestion. You know, the driving out here is wild out here in Mexico for sure. Let's see here. Your experience was real, and that first good experience is the truth. You were right to leave Canada. Yeah, I mean, at the time, I felt it was the right move. Didn't know. Uh, Again, not knowing what I know now, I would have probably done it a little different. But honestly, probably still would have left. Um, like you say, that gut feeling is generally a good guide to follow. Um, let's see here. The phones, yes, the phones are easy to take, and they can be a distraction. Ray of Sunshine is saying, hello, I apologize if you already said this. In your opinion, do you believe that Mexico will make it harder for U.S. citizens to move there after the election results? I don't think the government goes out of their way to make it difficult. The financial solvency requirements to enter into Mexico is based on the minimum wage here. I don't know what the number, I can't remember what the number is, but I think I'm just throwing a random number out there. So let's say, I'm going to just use US numbers, United States numbers. Let's say the minimum wage is $8. I don't know what it is now, but let's say the minimum wage in the States is $8. So you apply that and you're saying, okay, if you want to become a citizen or get residency in the United States or get a green card, you need to make 10 times, 15 times more than a minimum wage. You need to be able to show that for an annual income or something like that. And so that's how they do it here. You know what I mean? So it's not like they're saying, okay, based on the presidency, we're going to jack the numbers up. No, so they have a formula, and it's based on, that number might be 25 times the minimum wage of Mexico's minimum wage. So that's their little formula. So I don't think they're going to go out of their way to change it. I mean, traditionally, the cost for residency increases each year, potentially, and I don't think they're going to go out of their way to do that. And I think this particular new president that's in Mexico is aiming to increase minimum wage even more, which, of course, if that happens, then the financial solvency increases for U.S. citizens to be able to prove and show in order to get residency here. Now, there are some workarounds to get residency. If you don't meet the financial requirements, there are other ways to qualify. Which is why I always suggest that folks call and speak with a local Mexican immigration attorney. Unlike the United States, where you might have to spend $150 or $250 for a 1 hour phone call with an attorney, here it's like $40. You can get on the phone for an hour and get all the information you need. And if you're thinking about moving to Mexico or thinking about getting residency, it's the best $45 you'll ever spend, because they'll be able to guide you based on your particular circumstances and give you insight and information that you might not have even thought of. I think so many people, they go to these immigration websites and they look at it and say, oh, I don't meet the minimum requirement, and they give up, when there might have been some other options for them that they missed out on. So my advice, spend the $40, $50, talk to an immigration attorney that's here in Mexico or in the city that you're considering moving to. So if you're looking at Mexico City, then talk to an immigration attorney that works in that city. If you're moving to Merida, talk to an immigration attorney that lives and works in Merida, and the same for, say, Querétaro, because some of these, one thing about Mexico, they are consistently inconsistent. You can rely on them being inconsistent. So what the requirements are nationally, it varies from state to state and even city to city. So for example, we are 30 minutes away from the beach. The beach town that's closest to us is Progreso. They have an immigration office there. And the stuff that they do at the immigration office here in Merida, drastically different from the one 30 minutes away in Progreso. So that's why I say talk to an immigration attorney in your area. They can turn you on to options and programs that you just don't see and may not be aware of. 300 versus 200. Oh my, could save a whole lot. Oh yeah, absolutely. Could put that in a high yielding account and make some bread. The gal with son moved to Merida, was doing YouTube. Did she leave? The girl with the son. I don't remember who that was or who you're referencing. Older son, younger son, older lady, younger lady. We can hear you. Good. Yeah, right now, let's see. My Spanish teacher loves manizales. Manizales is absolutely gorgeous. What time is it in Merida? Right now it is 12:10 a.m. The time went back, so I know we are 1 hour behind the East Coast. Prior to the time going back, we were 2 hours behind. East Coast was 2 hours ahead of us. I followed your channel for a while, and it seems you and your family were meant to go to Mexico. You seem to be thriving there. Yes, I mean, it's a beautiful place. My daughter, 17, she'll be 18 in January. I'm here with 3 daughters, 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and a 22-year-old. My 17-year-old will be finishing school in this summer, coming up June, and she'll start college in the fall next year. She plans to go to school here in Mexico. You can get a 4-year degree, a 4-year bachelor's degree in Mexico for like $5,000 total. So as residents, they qualify, they can go to college. Don't have to worry about no big debt. And that's at a private school. So she went to a public school, a public college or university. It will be even cheaper than that. So about $5,000, get a 4-year college degree. Met a doctor who went to medical school, and they were showing us that if the kids wanted to go to medical school, I'm talking about become a doctor for the entire program, we're talking less than 10 to 15,000 US dollars for the whole program, from year 1 all the way to year 8, and then 4 years of residency. 10 to 15,000 for a medical degree. You know what I mean? So the cost of living is off the chain. It's insane. So they'll walk away without any debt. Um, depending on what they decide to go to school for. A lot of times that transfer over to the States, they can generally get a job and work. So like if they want to go to medical school here and decide to practice in the States, in many cases, they generally just have to take a test, an exam. If they pass that, boom, they straight. Worst case scenario, they might have to take a couple of classes extra, if that's even necessary. And voila. So depending on what they study, they can go to the States and work with that degree. Now, if they want to be lawyers, that would be different because the laws in Mexico is going to be significantly different from the laws in the States, of course. So that wouldn't work. Tracy Hill says $7.25 is minimum wage. Oh, are you serious? Is it really $7.25? Whoa, that is insane. I mean, I thought they might have taken that thing up some. The way they've been talking on the news, you were thinking like maybe that was some individual states. I know some places was talking about they gonna make it mandatory $15 an hour minimum for minimum wage. I think the minimum wage has got increased. How much do you have to make now? I don't know what that number is. Depends. So again, like I say, the thing about Mexico, they are consistently inconsistent. So generally, you will start the process at a Mexican consulate or Mexican embassy in the U.S. And on the website, I don't know how many embassies or consulates, Mexican consulates are in the U.S. I think it's like 13 of them. Don't quote me for that. But each consulate will post the requirements. And some consulates say you need to make $3,400 a month. Other ones say you need to make $4,500 a month. Some of them say $2,800 a month. So oftentimes people will jump from, depending on who has the lower minimum income requirement, they might jump and go to that state and start the process there. But a lot of the consulates have gotten a little bit more strict. And they're saying if you're not from here, if you don't live here in this state, because oftentimes people were going to McAllen, Texas, because the requirements there were very low, financial requirements. So they'll hop on their scheduled appointment there, hop on the plane, bring all their financials there, and start the process there. So the number's all over the board, but I think theoretically that number is like 4,400 is the official number. Don't quote me. But depending on the Mexican consulate you go to in the States, the numbers vary. Yep, Kamala's definitely going to lose. Let me look at them. Let me see what the numbers are showing on this thing right now. I don't think we're going to know for another day. Probably won't know until tomorrow. So Trump is 248 and Harris is 216. So she got to take Pennsylvania for sure. Trump might flip a couple of states. Again, the first one to 270. They seal this thing. So he's what? 22 away, 22 votes away. Man, this thing getting scary. I don't know who's gonna win. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just glad I ain't over there. You know what I mean? I'm glad I'm here. You know what I'm saying? It's wild out here. It's wild. Let's see here. Where did you say I live in Merida. I'm gonna write it in the chat. Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. So Merida is the city, Yucatan is the state, and then the Mexico is the country, of course. Let me see. blah, blah, blah. I'm keeping my eye on the regularization program. Listen, the regularization program, for those of you who do not qualify with the financial solvency, if you don't meet the financial requirements, the regularization program is your way in. No proof of income, no proof of employment. And if you're coming with your family members, once one of you get the residency, you can enroll your family members up under your visa. They don't have to qualify for any financial or anything like that. So the regularization. So right now, if you had an entry into Mexico in 2003 or previously, before 2020, I'm sorry, not 2003, 2023. If you came into Mexico in 2023 or before, and you got your stamp, I'm not talking about on the cruise ship, when you got your stamp on your passport, or if you got a new passport and you don't have the official stamp, they can pull it up in the system. If you have an entry into Mexico in 2023 or before, you can qualify for the regularization. So what happened is you got that stamp, you come back, let's say you come back now or come back at the first of the year, depending on immigration, the customs folks, they're going to stamp you 6 months, or they might stamp you 2 weeks. The lady that came in today, they gave her 10 days. So they're going to stamp your passport. And let's say they give you a month. In order to qualify for that program, you have to stay the full month and let it expire. So the day after it expires, you can go to immigration. You can apply for the regularization program, and you can get a 4-year visa on the spot. Yes, give you 4 years. And so that's what we did. We got in through the regularization program. I got my 4-year visa, and I was able to enroll my kids and my wife under mine. And boom, I don't have to worry about it for 4 years. Now, when our 4 years are up, we automatically roll into permanent, and then we're permanent residents, and we're done. Never have to go back to immigration again. So if you have a stamp in 2023 or before, you just need to come back, stay for however long they stamp that passport, and let it expire. Then you can get residency. They're not going to ask for how much money you make. They're not going to ask for no bank statement, and you do it here. They're not going to ask for about your job. They're not going to ask for nothing. They give it to you. Now, a lot of folk keep saying, oh, the regularization program is going to end. Well, they keep saying that every year. But every year it keeps going. It is a huge money cow for Mexico. Word on the street is they ain't going to give it up. Not yet. They're making too much money. So here's another tip. Because the calendar years have to be kind of spaced out by a couple of years. Since we are at the end of 2024, and if you've never been to Mexico, your time to come to Mexico is right now, because you'll get a 2024 stamp on your visa, on your passport. And so 2024, and that's it. And you don't have to stay. You can just come for 3 days, get that stamp, and get on the plane and go back home. You just want that 2024 stamp. Then you will qualify for the regularization program, assuming the program is still going strong, which most likely it is, in January of 2026, which is literally, essentially just 1 year and 1 month away, 2 months away. That's why it's important that you do this now before this 2024 ends. So January 2026, you'll qualify for regularization program. You'll come back and get that stamp and let it expire, and then you'll qualify on January 2026. Now, if you don't come in 2024 and take advantage of the fact that this is the end of the year, if you come on January 1st next year, 2025, You can't qualify for that regularization program until 2027. So we're talking 2 whole years you'd have to wait. So come right now. If you've never been here before, get that stamp. You'll only have to ride it out for 1 year, and you'll be able to qualify for regularization in January of 2026, which again is 1 year and 2 months from now. You won't have to wait the full 2-year cycle. If you don't come, you have to wait till 2027. So get here and get that 2024 stamp as fast as possible before December 31st. Make sense? Damn, this thing just shot up. Trump is at 267 and Harris at 216. Like Trump might win this thing. God, dog. I'm gonna see if CNN reporting the same numbers. CNN got Trump at 246 and Harris at 187. Hey, I don't know how y'all voted, but hey, we receiving folks over here in Mexico. Hey, by the way, let me plug the website. Hit us up, moveabroadandthrive.com. If you're not on our newsletter, I'm going to put a link in the moveabroadandthrive.com. I'm going to put a link in the thing. Get on our newsletter. We send out free resources, free tips, tools for moving. We send out information for moving abroad. Get on our newsletter. You'll get some tips and tricks, stuff like we're talking about now. Like I say, getting this stamp for 2024. We talk about stuff like that in the newsletter. We do interviews with people. Get on my newsletter so you can stay up to date and get information about moving abroad, retiring in Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. It's been decades since they raised the minimum wage. Mexico Relocation Guide site has a great breakdown of the financial requirements by the consulate. Yeah, Pamela gave some. Let me find the link. Let's see, financial requirements. They have good information there. That's a great site. Thanks for bringing that up. Like it says here at the top of the page, Mexico, each Mexican consulate has its own requirements. The cheapest one, of course, is McAllen, Texas, $3,400 a month. For the last 6 months, you need to prove that. The next cheapest one is in New Orleans. Now, Raleigh, North Carolina is $3,100 a month. So I'm going to put a link here. So, yeah, you have to be able to show 6 months of bank statements showing that $3,100 a month if you're in Raleigh, North Carolina. Chicago, $4,200 a month. 6 months, your last 6 months need to show that you made that much money per month for the last 6 months for temporary residency. And it's a little higher for permanent residency as well. So there's the link there. Check that out if you want to see what the monthly income requirement. So the formula monthly income requirement is 300 times the daily minimum wage. 300 times the daily minimum wage. So they came up with the number being $4,150, $4,150 per month, or proof of home ownership in Mexico worth at least $553,000. So check that page out. It breaks it all down. It's showing based, I don't know how current this is, but for Raleigh, North Carolina, it's showing that if you can prove income of $3,100 per month, you need to be able to show at least 6 months worth of bank statements showing that amount of money coming into your bank account as income, $3,100 a month in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's assuming the content on this page is up to date, which they do a pretty good job keeping it current. Let's see here. What about remote jobs? Do you know of any? I know QVC is hiring right now. A lot of folks end up taking these customer service remote jobs, and they get their equipment and then they move to Mexico. Most of the time, many of these companies won't hire you if you're already in Mexico. So you'll need to use a U.S. address of some sort. Like my wife uses our daughter's address in Florida. They'll ship the equipment there. Then you have to either go get it or have somebody ship it to you like overnight, because you're going to need the equipment really quick. The equipment meaning sometimes these companies that hire you, they have special equipment they want you to hook up to the computer, and you'll need to have that before you start work. So the typical sites like Indeed.com, FlexJobs.com is another great site. I think you pay a monthly fee to access it, but once you have access to it, you can look for the different jobs. I'm sorry, I was just looking at some of these results again, just checking in. But the trick to the remote jobs, of course, is you have to consistently submit, and you might be submitting for 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, and then you'll get some jobs. That's been the common advice that I've gotten from folks that have gotten jobs. Is like clockwork. It's a job. They spend 3-4 hours a day submitting, updating, modifying their resume based on the job they're applying for, and they constantly submitting 15, 20 per day for 3 weeks. There's no easy way other than to do it. And the beauty about it is you don't have to make that much money. Here in Mexico, you can get by on $15 an hour, which is about $600 a week. And you can live extremely well and take care of family of 4 on them $600 a week and have money left over. Because family of 4 can ideally find a house, a nice 2 or 3 bedroom house for about $500 a month. Now you got to know your numbers, got to know your math, and stay within your means. Choose a place based on your numbers, on your income. If you're making $2,400 a month, I think they say the suggested rent amount or mortgage amount should not be over 25% of your income. So 25% of $2,400 is $600. So your rent should not be over $600. Theoretically, ideally, you want to be even under that, just so you can have an extra cushion. So instead of saying, okay, my number is $600 a month, let's try to do $500. Have that extra cushion, or even $450. So you can live very well on $600 a week. It's been decades since they raised the minimum wage. Yeah, I'm looking at that $7.25. I definitely agree, for sure. Fast food places in the U.S. are like $15 an hour. Each continent is different with how much you need to make. Right now, McAllen, Texas is the cheapest. And I would love to find an efficiency. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to send you a link to a video we just posted. And it's of an efficiency. And it's $300 a month We found one actually while we were looking for this lady, we found one for $225 a month. And that included everything, including electricity, internet. I just posted the link in the comments. Internet, trash, water, and electricity was included in that $225. It was an efficiency, had access to a laundry thing upstairs, et cetera, et cetera. Trump is going to win. I'm going to be gone before January. Oh, wow. Didn't know about rolling family members under one visa. Yes. So you can, once you get it, you can enroll your family up under it. It's called a family unit. They can roll right up under you. They don't have to qualify. So we're talking about your son, your daughter, your spouse, your mom, your dad, or if your mom got it, she can enroll you as her child, even if they're over 18. Your adult children, they can all roll up under that visa. What if you don't qualify for regularization or financial solvency? So if you don't qualify, that's what I'm saying. If you don't qualify for regularization right now, it's best to get here and get a stamp. That's going to be the simplest way to get residency without any other qualifications. If you don't qualify any other way, come down here and get this stamp for 2024 in hopes that the program is still running a year and 2 months later on January 2026. Then you can get it. You can qualify for it. Because if you can't qualify for regularization and you don't meet financial solvency, they generally ain't no other way to get it unless you come down here and marry yourself a Mexican or have a Mexican baby, have a baby with a Mexican. So that's another way. Get married. You know what I'm saying? Get married, get you some papers. You know what I'm saying? Have a baby down here. Get somebody, give somebody a baby, or you come down here and have a baby. Now I'm gonna tell you something. I'm just telling you what folks do. So, and very strategic. A lot of people talking about, people from Mexico come to the States and they have babies and then they get, fitted. Well, guess what? Americans come over here and they do the same thing. I met a bunch of Americans that came down here 8 months pregnant, and they come down here and they have a baby so they can get them papers. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm just saying. Tracy say, no more babies here. I'm 53. You find your nice local Mexican man. You know what I'm saying? Get married. You get them papers. You know what I'm saying? So that's another way through marriage. You know what I'm saying? 45. Charlie said that time has passed for me. 45 years old, a little too late. Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I don't want to see no newborns. Nah, I got all 5 of my kids. They about half grown now. I ain't trying to see no new babies at all. Let's see. How long have you have to live in Texas? Oh wow, makes sense. That's one of the reasons I made 2 trips to Mexico this year to qualify in 2026. There you go. So yeah, you'll qualify. In 2026 it's just less. It's almost just a little over a year from now, which is why it's important that for those of y'all that are watching and you don't qualify, get that stamp before 2024 ends, or you'll have to wait until 2027. You are at an advantage right now because the year is over. You know what I mean? And you won't have to wait a whole 2 years or something like because you're getting out on the calendar year, 2024, and then 2025. You just got 12 months, and then you can get residency in January 2026. Now, let me see here. What about I make $22.59 a month. Can I qualify to move to Mexico? Based on the lowest numbers that I'm seeing, $3,100 a month. Would in say in Raleigh, North Carolina, seem to be one of the lower ones outside of Texas, McAllen. Most places you've been showing are $1,000 a month rent. I don't know. My latest videos I've been showing $500 a month. I just posted one for $300 a month. But there are plenty places. Now I've been showing a lot of those because the people, I generally record videos when I'm showing them the clients. And so the people that have come, that was their budget. Their budget might be, okay, I'm looking for a place between $700 to $1,000 a month. And so a lot of those houses that I'm showing is because I'm showing a place while we're out looking at it for the client. And many of them have come down here. I had one come down here not long ago. Their budget was $3,000 a month. So a lot of folks that come are coming with money. And so again, they got places for every budget. You got some people who don't, that don't have any financial issues and they want to live like a king or queen. They might have been spending $7,500 a month or $5,000 a month on a mortgage or rent in the States, and coming here spending $1,500 a month as a drop in a bucket, and they getting a really, really nice setup. You know what I mean? So, but I've been showing properties less than $1,000 lately, I believe. I might end up creating a playlist of apartments. I'll probably try and segregate them off by monthly rentals, like 500 to 700, 700 to 1,000, 200 to 350, something. I might try and break it up a little bit. 45 years old, a little too late. If I came to Mexico but didn't have passport, I used ID and birth certificate. Does that count? But didn't have passport, I used ID and birth certificate. That's a good question. I would say, now if you came by cruise ship, they generally don't log it in the system. I'm assuming that's how you came here. If you came here by cruise ship, they generally don't log it, so that won't work. I can't imagine that you were able to get through on an ID and birth certificate in the last couple of years alone. But yeah, if it didn't get stamped on the passport, they probably didn't log you in. But again, hit up an immigration attorney. I'm gonna put a phone number down in the chat box. You can send a question. She might answer. This is a WhatsApp phone number, so make sure you download WhatsApp to your phone and put this phone number. You can write them a message. She speaks English, and ask that question, and she might answer for, sometimes they answer and don't charge you nothing. Otherwise, you might have to book a consultation. And so again, $45, $45, and you get an hour of consultation, and she can tell you what the workarounds are. And she probably, and if you pay her for the consultation, she will likely go down to immigration, because she's always at immigration, and she could check the system and see if you're logged into the system, and then she could tell you on the spot. So it's better to pay the $45 and get accurate, actionable details and information about what you can and cannot do. Her name is Valeria, and her phone number is 4099. And so use that on WhatsApp. I hope y'all finding this information helpful and useful. If you are, throw in some donations. I'm gonna put a link to our little website right quick. If you're finding this thing helpful, throw in some super chats. Like I said, I love this city, man. This place is awesome. It's amazing. It's a beautiful place. We are right where we need to be. Wow, $300 a month. Yes, that $300 a month was furnished. I put a link in it to that video, and that was furnished. She can walk to the grocery store. She can walk the bus line and right outside her door. She can hop a bus for like 80 cents, 40 cents, 80 cents on the bus, 40 cents, go anywhere she want on that bus. That includes internet, water, trash, etc. So come to Mexico on the weekend and go where for a stamp. So when you enter in from the plane, you're gonna pass through immigration and they're gonna stamp you. Everybody got to go through immigration. So they're gonna stamp you. So come anywhere. Go fly to Cancun. Check out the airport that's the cheapest to fly into. It might be very cheap to fly straight in. I don't know where you're at, but it might be cheap to fly into Cancun. It might be cheap to fly into Mexico City. Flying into Merida can be expensive. So look at the various airports. Depending on where you're at. There's an airport in. Again, you got to kind of hack this thing and twist it to make it work for you. What's the name of that border town from California? That city. It's a big city. I can't remember the name of that. City everybody go to in California. Cross over the border. God, I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, Tijuana, TJ. Thanks, Diana. Tijuana. Check what flights would cost to go into Tijuana. So pull up the map, look at the map, and see where you're at in the States and which airport or which big city in Mexico is closest to you and fly in. So if you're in Texas, check out Tijuana. Check out, look on the map and see what big Mexico city is close by you can fly in, because it might be cheap. You might be able to, like Cancun. What city are you in Texas? I'm gonna do a quick search myself. Google flight. What city are you in Texas? Yeah, 1995 won't qualify. I think it goes up to about 10 years back. So yeah, 1995 is a little far. All right, so Dallas, Texas. Let's check it out. Let me pull up a map. Dallas, Texas. Because I think from Dallas, I think you might be able to roll into Monterey, but we're going to check them all out. So what I'm looking at, Monterey is close by. Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Fort Worth to Monterey. City in Mexico. Well, this thing is saying, never mind. Let's say, all right. So Dallas, Fort Worth, I would show you on the screen, but I'm scared it might freeze up again. Let's say you left on November 12th, and stayed for 2 days, hypothetically. They're showing flights round trip from Dallas, Fort Worth to Monterey, which is a city in Mexico. Fairly safe city, not the safest, but safe enough to use common sense that you would in the States, and you'll be fine in Monterey. Monterey can have some issues, but not more than the average city in the States. Round trip, 4,400 pesos, which is about $220 round trip. So get your butt on a plane, fly to Monterey for 2 days, check it out, get your stamp, and fly back. You know what I'm saying? Monterey, I'm gonna see if it's any cheaper in Cancun, and I'm gonna see how long the flight, a 2 hour flight nonstop, or a 1 hour and 50-minute flight nonstop, depending on American Airlines. So this is not. I'm just checking, see what it is in Cancun, just hypothetically. Cancun is going to be a little more. It's going to be about $350. Tijuana. Let's see. Tijuana is going to be a little more as well. So yeah, that's your answer. Monterey. That's where you need to go from Dallas Fort Worth. What about North Carolina? Gastonia. I'll do one more. Gastonia. What major city? Does Gastonia have an airport in the city? So I'm looking at Gastonia. The closest airport is Charlotte. Is that accurate? Tracy? Let me thank you for your donation, Nikki. I appreciate you. Muchas gracias. Let me check for Tracy. And the thing I use Google Flights. So Google Flights, you type in Google Flights in Google search, and you can put in some cities and it'll tell you. So I'm looking at a map. So from Charlotte, it looks like the closest place. So from Charlotte, it may be cheaper to fly in to the shortest distance, probably would be Cancun. But I'm also going to check in Monterey just to see. I'm also going to check Mexico City just to see Charlotte to. But you already got 2 stamps on your passport, Tracy. So I think you good. Let's see. Cancun might be the cheapest route. Let's take a look. They have a lot of flights that go out of. So let's say you leave on November 16th. And come back on the 20th, 4 days later. That is, they got an airline, they got a $600 round trip from Charlotte to Cancun on American Airlines. But if you do Spirit Airlines, it's about $400. Let me try. I'm gonna just put in Merida just to see. Sometimes you get lucky. So Merida is about $425 round trip on American Airlines, which is not bad. If you go further, well, yeah, for the month of November, it seems it's going to be cheaper in November than it's going to be in December. So about $425 to fly straight into Merida. Let me check Mexico City just to see. Okay, right at about 400 in the Mexico City round trip, 3-hour flight. Let me check Monterey. Let's check that out. So these flights, again, the key is just checking different airports. It may even mean going to Atlanta to get a cheaper deal to fly in. So you want to check a variety of airports. And with Google Flights, you can put in multiple airports and it'll pull all the results up at the same time. Tijuana, let's try that. All right, so Monterey and so Cancun seems to be Cancun and Merida have some pretty decent flights. Let's see. Hey, I'm doing a live. Wife out here clowning at 1:00. How you clowning at 1:00 in the morning? You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Charlotte, what's the program for bringing family in? Let me see something here. Well, it looked like Trump won, y'all. Looked like he won. I told you. I told you.
I know. I'm happy.
That right there, a lot of.
So it's not all the way in, but there's some states.
Let's see here. Yeah. So, all right, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. What's the name of the program for the stamp for 2020? It's called a regularization program. I'm gonna type it in. Regularization program, or RNE is what they'll call it. I'm gonna pull up a article on. I need to put this on my website, but I'm gonna send you to somebody else's website that breaks it down. Regularization program, Mexico. All right, so I'm gonna send a link here. It's gonna break down the special residency where no income is needed. So I just posted it below. Check that out, and it'll explain everything. So looked like Trump won, and I imagine there's going to be an influx of folks flowing into Mexico. I know a lot of folks' feelings is hurt, but listen, regardless of how you voted, we going to get through them 4 years. It's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? It goes on every single election cycle. It happened when Obama got in. It happened when George W. got in. It happened when Trump got in the first time. It happened when Biden got in. It's gonna be okay. The world is not over. It's not gonna end. It's gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying? Remember them statistics. Them statistics be accurate. Everybody who say they leave it, only 0.1% actually pull it off and go. Let's see here. What's the name of the? I'm making sure I put it. What's the name of the program to bring family in under you? Call it family unit. So just ask about the family unit, and that should answer that. But yeah, the regularization program. I put a link above. It breaks down how that program works, where no income is required and no proof of employment. So, wow, the news is gonna be, the news travel fast. Now that peso, that dollar might get a little stronger, and so y'all pay attention to that peso exchange rate. It might fluctuate a little bit and change drastically. So you need to convert some US dollars into pesos. Now would be the time. If you're going to be buying a house, now is your window of time to take advantage of that exchange rate that's about to go crazy for a little while. It's crazy out here, man. It's crazy. So I don't know. Hey, again, Mexico. I'm gonna give y'all a link to this website. Get on my newsletter if Mexico's on your mind about leaving, because for most folks, Canada ain't gonna work. It's gonna be too expensive to qualify. They won't let you in. In fact, when you go into Canada, they be trying to find a reason not to let you in. If they think you coming over there to stay longer than 30 days, they ain't gonna let you in. So hit this link and join my newsletter, get some free resources and tools for planning your move abroad. Very good day today. So true. Didn't realize that it could fluctuate. Maybe that's why God lead Mr. Trudeau another CD today. But yeah, that thing be fluctuating. Right now we over 20. It ain't been that high in over a year. So we are certainly benefiting. In other words, my cost for rent is 20.80 right now. I mean, it might see 21 in the morning. 20. You know, and what I'm saying is 21 pesos for every $1. You get 21 pesos. A year ago, we were getting about 16 pesos for every dollar. You know, so we're losing 4 to 5 pesos per dollar. This is a big difference, particularly if you're in the process of buying a house. You might be spending 500. You might be spending 3 million pesos on a house, and the difference between them 3, 4, and 5 pesos is the difference of paying $15,000 less or $20,000 less for a house than not. So the numbers matter. So I guess I'm gonna sign out tonight. Listen, y'all, get on that newsletter for free tips and resources about planning your move abroad. I'll probably come back on live tomorrow. We'll talk a little more about what just happened on this election. I know there's gonna be a lot of hurt folks tomorrow. Well, they probably ain't gonna sleep well tonight. It's wild out there. Yeah, it's a great thing. If that dollar gets stronger, I mean, you get more and more pesos. You get a whole lot more. I'll give you a good example. So, when I first moved into this house, I think I'll use my other house as an example because it has more pesos. So I was paying 24,000 pesos a month for rent. So 24,000 pesos. When I first signed my lease, I think the peso was down like 16. So we're getting 16 pesos per dollar. Whereas now we're almost getting 21. So we're getting 16 pesos per dollar. Let me see if I'm doing that right. I haven't done this in a while. I shouldn't have got on here trying to do this on my calculator. Now I'm having a brain freeze. 24,000 times. Now I'm doing that. I'm jacking this thing up. I wish I could edit this out. Hold on, my calculator ain't working. I need another calculator. All right, so 24,000 pesos is what I had to pay for my rent. And at the time, it was trading at 16. We were getting 16 pesos per dollar. That means my rent was $1,500 a month. Now that the peso, if I stayed in that same house, and today we're getting 21 pesos per dollar, instead of paying $1,500 a month for rent, I would still be paying 24,000 pesos, but because the currency fluctuated, I would be getting 21. My rent would be $1,140 a month. So I will be paying $1,140 a month for my rent because the value of the dollar went up. I will be paying $1,140 a month for my rent versus $1,500 a month. It makes a big difference. And that's just with 24,000 pesos. Now imagine you buying a house for 3 million pesos. So 3 million peso house, that's about 150,000 US dollars. So if you're buying a house for 3 million pesos at today's exchange rate, you will be paying $142,000. Now, if we bought it a year ago when the rate was $16, so remember that 142,000 on a $3 million peso, on a 3 million peso rate. If we bought that house a year ago when the dollar was down at 16, that house would be 187,000 US. So 187,000 versus 142. So a lot of folks say that after this election gets down, after it starts to stabilize, the peso, the US dollar is going to drop again, and we might drop back down into 17s and 18s. So getting it while it's good and high now is the ideal time. Make sense? And I just saw your donation come through. Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate that. Again, if y'all finding any value here, consider making a donation. All donation goes towards making more content, driving these streets, paying for this rental car, paying for gas to get around, to highlight the city. If you're not a member, if you're not a fan of YouTube, if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit the subscribe button and follow the channel. And something happened to my website. Why is it down? For some reason, my web page is timed out. Hopefully, it'll be back up shortly. Okay, it's back. So thanks so much, Cartier. You welcome, Tanya. Thanks, Nunya. Rays of sunshine. So better do contract in pesos or dollars. Well, right now, based on the exchange rate, well, all the contract that you do here, it'll happen in pesos. So basically what I'm suggesting is if you know you're going to buy something, especially a big purchase, convert the money from US dollars into pesos so you can get more pesos right now while you're able to get 21 pesos for every dollar. So you can do that by, so I don't know if you're already here in Mexico, if you have a bank account, you can also set up a Wise account and you can swap currencies out that way. Let me give you a link to join. And this only really applies if, sometimes people, when the rates like this, they'll pay rent in advance. They'll say, okay, I'm going to pay rent up for the next 3 months because it's going to be cheaper. I showed you that difference between paying $1,500 a month for rent versus $1,140 a month for rent. That's a $400 difference. So oftentimes people will pay rent up for 3 months or 6 months because they pay less. All right, I'm going to type in a link here, https www.wise.com, invite. So check out this app you can read up on it a little bit, and you can exchange currencies via the app if you don't have a bank account in Mexico. So, but yeah, all your contracts, any contract done here in Mexico is going to be in Spanish and it's going to be in pesos. It's going to say pesos on the contract. So yeah, man, this is quite a surprise tonight. CNN has not called it yet. Fox News has already called it. CNN hasn't called it. MSNBC. I don't think MSNBC hasn't called it yet, but I think it looks like it is done. So I'm gonna get off for the night. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. It's free. And if you have any questions, post comments. And thank you all for watching. Try and get some sleep. Don't be too mad. If you're really going to leave, just start planning. You start coming up with your plan, start coming up with your strategy, and just plan. Just plan. Don't get bitter. Don't get mad. Just plan. And you can work your way out of any situation that you consider that is not great for you. So plan. Pamela, thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you for watching and keeping up with us. And, so yeah, work the plan, y'all. Whatever the plan is, work it. It's going to be okay. The world ain't going to end. And it's going to be good. So signing off.